So, welcome to Southern Perspective, episode 10. We're 10 in, 10 deep. It's really good. A debrief with contents of South Glengarry's February 9th and 23rd, February 9th and 23rd, 2026 council meetings. So today, on Southern Perspective, we sit down with Mayor Lachlan and McDonald, as we always do, to unpack these two meetings. It includes several zoning amendments, the township's strong financial audits, building permit fee reviews that are aimed at improving cost of recovery, investment in fire protection equipment, and adjustment to animal control services, etc. We'll get onto it. So, zoning amendments.
Yes.
So, floodplain land reclassification. So, the council approved floodplain land to rural conservation. They approved the rezoning of floodplain land to rural after Conservation Authority. You approved. Is it a? What was I going to say? Let me just start again, because basically, and then I won't even edit. So you approved rezoning floodplain land to rural. Okay.
Yes.
After the conservation approved cut and fill work brought the property into compliance.
Yes.
So, what steps are required to before floodplain can be reclassified rural, and what's this floodplain is?
Yes, so it's near Purcell, Town, and Ray Road. So it's on the north side of Ray Road, near Glenwalter North, let's say. And what it is the floodplain of this particular drain was higher than it had to, where they could build their property, and so they filled in a portion, bring it above the floodplain. To do that, you need permits from the RRCA, as well as permissions from the township, and then approval from the township. And then once you do that, then you can take it from floodplain to rural. So it's just allowing a bigger building envelope on that property.
Okay, so that's basically just so that the sort of removing the RRC's responsibility and back onto the townships itself, more or less.
Yes, and it takes it out of the floodplain so that we can approve it. Yes.
Okay, so the highway commercial to light industrial zoning. So you approved the zoning amendment changing the property from highway commercial to light industrial, and of course this is despite some public concerns.
Yes.
So what rezoning are we talking about, and what factors convinced the council to change this zoning?
Yes, one, that it was already commercial, so there was a lot of things that we'll say could have already happened that, say, the community wasn't happy with, like the amount of trucks. It was already zoned for that, so
okay.
It was we'll say adjacent. It's the other property we talked about last time. It's turning farmland into commercial or highway commercial, and that
so it's not the same one.
No, this one is the one that was in Curry Hill. There were two at that last meeting, and I guess we looked at, is it changing it significantly? And the opinion was not enough to say no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you say this one is next to the one that was at the last one we discussed, or?
Oh, sorry. Last time there was two of them. There was one north of Lancaster,
yeah,
and one Curry Hill just off the highway. This is the one that's Curry Hill just off the highway. Same one there, but yeah.
Okay, so this is where the approval was done.
Yep.
So you had your 2024 financial audits results, and it seemed that you got a good grade.
Oh,
okay.
yes.
So you receive the audited financial statements showing a clean audit and a $1.2 million operating surplus. So what does a surplus of this size say about your township financial management, and how does council decide to reinvest? What to do to either to reinvest in this surplus into infrastructure or reserves or services?
Yes. So I guess a medium-sized answer here would be, what does it say? Well, one, you don't generally want to run a surplus that big.
Yeah.
I would say it's not the current management we have in Treasury, but we had 2024 was reported in 2026, right? So there's a little lag there. Mm-hmm. Our current Treasury team is now going to complete 3 audits in a span of 6 months. So they've caught up for being behind from a little time of change there as we went through a few treasurers. So big applause to them, because now we're back on track. And when you're back on track, you can see those things. So the big item was our with interest rates having risen, and we had sizable amounts of money in the bank. our interest revenue was so high, and it just because we were too behind, it wasn't caught so significantly. So now we're budgeting a little tighter. So that's a good thing. The outcome is we're caught up. Our 2025 audit will be done in 2026, which is back on schedule. So I say that's good for the community. What we will do with these surpluses, because they are tax dollars, we used $400,000 to $500,000 to invest in the arena project, which we talked about before, and then we might move some to fire reserves to bolster the strength of our basically asset management planning. So paying for things that we know are going to need repairs today. So we haven't decided exactly what we're doing with it all, but we're looking to invest it in like roads, bridges, and buildings. Constant thing I say.
Which yes, of course, that's what needs to be done. So speaking of the municipal reserves and the future costs, so the auditor did recommend the strengthening for strengthening the reserve for future landfill closures, and also improving tax collections. What are your thoughts on that?
So landfill closures, big item. We not only have to save for like a compactor in the future, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars. Landfill closure and then relocation is millions of dollars. Some of that discussion, and maybe what you picked up on, was there's a number that, when the landfill closes, it costs $1 million to close, but then you have to monitor it for 25 years, and they kind of bring all those dollars to one point in time. And we're kind of saying, yes, this number, but all these numbers could become operating. So we have some questions about making sure we tax the right amount for that reserve. Because again, I'm a massive fan of reserves for funding things, but you don't want to overfund things.
So is there a landfill being closed or?
Not yet, but it's on the horizon. In the 8 to 15 year time frame, we have 2 landfills, and as we close one and one comes earlier, the next one will degrade at twice the speed and we have to be prepared for that, whether it goes to GFL and Moose Creek or half. There's a whole conversation there, because you don't want to be left without a landfill.
No, of course not.
People do like the convenience. And then you talked about tax arrears, and I believe now that we're caught up with our audits, we'll be able to go kind of full steam on that. And because we kind of ebb and flow at the township. We do a real good job, and then we kind of settle, and then we do a really good job. So now that the audits are caught up, our staffing requirements are there. I think you'll see and tax arrears are people who haven't paid their taxes for 2 or more years.
Okay. All right. So you had an integrity commissioner report, and you received a report regarding this was a conflict of interest involving deputy mayor.
Yes.
It concluded there was no violation that occurred. So can you explain what this alleged conflict of interest was?
Yeah. If I can provide some context, it's for the South Lancaster multi-building that went in. I shouldn't say, there was many community members didn't like the decision, but not all of them took this tack. Some did, and they kind of scattershot it at myself, and that my sister was on the roads and approved a permit. They had said that Councillor Bougie, his aunt is Joanne Planning. He had a conflict. That those were determined to be non, and then the one that was left was Martin, our deputy mayor, and he went through the integrity commissioner that we have, and it was proven that not. They were saying that his niece benefited financially, but it was not. It was determined through the process that not in any significant amount, not specific to this project, that would derive what would be determined a conflict. So it was disproven. So we're happy for that, because if you knew Deputy Mayor Lang, you know that he's a man of integrity and character, and he would have taken himself out if there was a material benefit just naturally. He's a good person, and I'm glad it went the way it went.
Yeah. Well, and there's also it is also a fact that it's a small community, so a lot of people are related, and there's just so many people deep that you can go as far as benefiting. So, and
something we learned is the provincial standard is actually less than our standard, so we might match it. Provincial standard wouldn't have included a niece. Our policy did, so we might match, because you want things to be very clear when you go through these things. And again, I'm glad that the community has these mechanisms.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it went through. I think this one maybe was a little bit of a reach for that specific one. But anytime we have a conflict, I'd encourage, if there is a conflict, it is a mechanism, and it's there to be used. This one I didn't think was necessary, but I'm biased because I know Martin.
Yeah, no, but as you say, there's a process, and it went through, and you did due diligence, and everything is fine. So electric vehicle charging, the infrastructure itself. So you declined a proposal for EV charging stations due to compliance and financial feasibility concerns. So Where were these EV stations supposed to be, and why did the council decline this proposal at this time? Does EV sort of figure into your infrastructure at this point, or?
It's not. We don't have any EV vehicles ourselves. It was for commercial use. They wanted to take some of our parking lots just north of St. Pierre Auto Garage, Napa, yeah.
Okay,
St. Pierre, St. Pierre's. That's Thomas now, but and Kelly. So they wanted that spot, and then we were thinking about making another. And the agreement it was based on a lot of like ifs and buts. Like if we get this, we can do this, but if we don't have the money to do it, which we just thought there was some financial risk there.
Would have been sort of the township's EV charging stations, or
they would be commercial.
Or they would be commercial,
yeah.
So they would be privately owned.
Yeah, they would be privately owned on our property, and we'd get a kickback. But like we just didn't. It was all based on potential grants in this, so that we kind of said like, if you had a solid business plan that you can fund yourself, then yes. But since there's some ifs and like you may get money, we just didn't want to like upfront something that might not happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So roadside mowing, that's coming up soon as things are melting, right? And equipment management. So you approve contracting out for a third roadside mower. And so you're refurbishing a trackless municipal machine. So what was the option? Why did council go with contracting out? Why was that the preferred option?
Okay, well, there were debates on both sides. So this one was, I actually got to vote and break a tie. It was 2-2. Thoughts towards internal is, care of service. I think it was $2,000 less. And it was to trial it. So my opinion was
$2,000 less to
do it internally.
In-house, okay.
However, we would have had to buy a vehicle which was amortized over 3 years in our budget. So I kind of said, if we're trying something new, might as well take a 1-year stab, pay $2,000 more, but not be married to that asset.
Okay.
And that I guess, because I guess it was my vote that broke the tie. That's the logic that broke it. But it's kind of that balance between like, should we try it and should we bring it in house because it's less expensive and the care versus the ability to say, well, we tried it and it didn't work. We did this specifically for the ag community because our roadside mowing has allowed some weed development, and also we just want to do a better job, and we want to trial it first to see if like one more is materially better, because if not, why spend $50,000 if it doesn't make a big difference?
Okay, so it sort of turns into a little bit of a trial period.
Exactly, that's good.
Which will actually sort of maybe perhaps set sort of a decision on maybe buying one or doing internally if it works, if it does, or maybe seeing if the costs are decent enough, keep it contracted.
That perfect summary, yes, because if we can do it internally and people enjoy it, then and it's less, then why not? But for trial, yes. Yeah, you said it perfectly.
Okay, so you had a review of building permits operations. So you reviewed the building operations, showing you that there was an approximate 71.5% cost recovery. So what does this cost recovery means in the context of building services? How does that work?
Costs around a building service, in a perfect world, it'd all be paid for fees. People already feel fees are high for building, okay. And I think that's across all municipalities. Okay. That, I guess it's near 29%, is tax subsidized essentially. So taxpayers pay about $150,000 a year for the building department. Okay. So that's what those numbers mean.
Which is at 29%.
Yeah, presently. Yeah, okay. There's ebbs and flows, right? Like 1 year, I think if you go back, it was 82. But our building starts are slowing down. Like COVID was a big year for the COVID years, and 2 years after were pretty big for us in terms of revenues. And the idea behind that is, do we want to charge like full recovery so that the people who benefit from it get it, which might inhibit growth, which will lower taxes in the future. So that's the balance. The question I asked specifically was, what is our new taxation every year? So if we get $100,000 from new houses, perhaps you should factor that into those building permits. So if it's $150,000 deficit, but every year they bring in an extra 100. That first year is 100, the second year it's 200, and it's 300. Kind of like in a few years, it pays for itself by the development that's being brought in. Now you should share that with planning, but now I'm going into a little bit more than we need to.
So are you on track to maybe? Are you aiming for zero?
I don't think we are. No, I think we're looking to. That particular report is going to raise the cost for residential, decrease the cost for expansion, and I think decrease some farm permit fees as well.
Okay.
How are we on time?
Oh, we're doing good. We're
Okay.
doing good. I see my time now. It's all
Okay,
good.
good. I just want
It's
to
all
make sure.
good. It's all good.
I've got a premonition. Things ain't gonna go my way. It's gonna break me down. Yeah, it's taking me day by day. I've got a bad feeling creeping up and down my spine. You're gonna leave me, honey, 'cause it's weighing heavy on my mind.
So we got, but you know, I might have to go and reset those cameras, but it's okay. So we got, so you have digital applications now for tiny homes, or you have new fee categories to start off for tiny homes and fabric covered farm structures.
Yes.
Right. Along with a 5% online submission discount for anybody who uses online. So. Are the online applications going to improve a little bit of efficiency?
Yes.
And you know, and as with anything, will the process be comprehensive? It's always whenever you fill something online, you go, oh,
Yeah. So the idea is most of the drawings are made on a computer, as you know.
Yeah.
Building drawings come on those
Yeah.
big sheets. So if we can get them scanned and sent to us online, it saves them from. So they have them online, they print them, we get them, then we scan them. So if we can just cut out the printing, getting them, scanning them, we can just go across. So that's why there's a 5% discount if a builder uses, or a builder or an owner uses.
So they basically have their files, their PDFs, they upload them,
Yes.
and so which basically sort of offsets the cost of you having to scan them and digitize them. And
and then printing them, driving it in. So that's the 5% benefit, and then us receiving them and then scanning them in. So if it works, I mean, it saves 2 steps for each person. So it is a win-win, and that's why we think that the 5%, we're hoping to incentivize that program.
And then is this for everything, including those tiny homes and these fabric covers? Like, I know that
all our permits. The tiny home thing would just be like it's a new category, and we just wanted to have it separate from regular homes, just so we can make sure the cost of doing it makes sense to us.
Yeah.
But the 5% is for across all.
That's
permits.
across the. So as we're discussing here, so there's a new fee category for tiny homes and for fabric covered farm structures, right?
Yes.
That's because it's a trend, or
Might be a trend, but certainly we're seeing it. I can't say if it's a trend specifically, but different things require a different amount of inspections. So we just
okay.
So we don't have like this broad base. Like some things take 12 inspections, some might take 5, but we're charging them the same, and it doesn't cost us the same. So we're just trying to make it a little more fair for the end user. That's
Okay.
And by end user, I mean the builder or person, but like constructor. Yeah.
Okay. Exotic animal care delegation. So you had a delegation requesting an exemption from the animal control bylaw for the care of rescued primates. So can you explain the delegation's request and the factors that council is going to consider before making this decision?
Yes. So the request was to have primates in a property in Glennorman. That property is specifically in the village. It's not a rural lot. Council, it's actually on the upcoming agenda, so I can say administration. The reason why delegations come, it's typically administration says no, so they have said decline the request. Things to consider is the welfare of the primates, the place where is it the right spot for this? Is it something that we want to get into? It's in many other provinces, the province makes the rules, but in Ontario they leave with municipalities. So there's kind of it's a tough one because I haven't given it too much thought. I know my wife would love to have monkeys around and perhaps a burgeoning zoo, and I don't know if that's sometimes the heart and the mind have to do different things.
So and of course, as you said, it's in the village, and there's neighbors, and there's a lot of consideration, I'm sure.
Yeah, and animal welfare is important too. Can they live? And I understand there's a family there. How does I don't know all those things, but the report I will read it in full probably Sunday. So I don't have the answer for you, but I know what I'm going to say. But that's the situation.
Okay, I'm going to break. Boom. I'm going
to
just go do a quick, hopefully, boom, 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 and just do a touch here. Doop, doop. And do a touch here. Doop, 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 doop. Go. And we're back.
Okay.
And we are back.
That's fast.
That was fast. Well, it's all refocused. Okay, so Community grants and recreation infrastructure. So council approved a grant application to the Ontario Petroleum Foundation and a fee waiver supporting the Raisin River Canoe Race. So is this a grant for the Raisin River Canoe Race, or can you explain a little bit more about what this?
Yeah, two things in that question. One would be the Ontario Trillium grant is for new bleachers at our sports fields.
Okay.
So we have just the wooden slab ones, and then
Okay.
we'll get ones with the railings. You kind of see them now
Yeah.
with railings and backstops.
The ones that are transportable, or
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
they would be. I mean, they're still heavy, so
Yeah.
you do need some equipment, but they're safer and they're the modern standard.
Okay.
So we're going to apply for either 6 to 12, depending on what administration has
Okay.
in their desires. And then the canoe race one would be our shore-based rescue. We use it during the canoe race to do training on that. So it's a fee reimbursement, not a fee. It's a fee waiver request. So we're glad to do it because it also we can use it for training for our fire services for shore-based rescue.
okay.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk about. We did really well today. With the 13 questions and so forth. But we're down to 14, and we're looking at our big picture reflection.
Okay. Yes.
And then you did seem to get a lot in February in those 2 meetings.
Oh, yes.
It seems that these were quite. They were quite packed.
Oh, yes.
With a variety on your agenda. So when you look back. And of course, priorities sort of shift depending on what comes before council. What do you see council's priorities? Are they still the same for 2026? Are you still online, or are you seeing that maybe some things might change for whatever reason? Or
Yeah, I think these particular meetings were maybe a little bit more or less like the big items in spending, but like little items focusing on financial prudence. So like making sure our fee by law lines up, making sure that we support our community responsibly through grants and donations, and making sure we're delivering service at a reasonable level. And that's kind of like whenever we talk about the roadside cutting. So I'd say this was more like a lot of little items that have, kind of big impacts that some people will see.
yeah,
But I'd say we're still on track for our strategic goals. Invest in infrastructure. We have closed session meetings at times to talk about the airport, and we're working at we have an MOU to the City of Cornwall for water. So we're still, we're staying focused. We're trying to advance things as much as we can, and hopefully, if we haven't finished the things for the next council, we'll have them rolling so that we can get the things done. And again, roads, bridges, and buildings.
roads, bridges, and buildings. That'll be you should have that on a jacket.
Head and shoulders, yeah. Roads, bridges, buildings too.
Yeah. So and when we're looking at this year, we also know it's always, and we talked about it last year. It's an election year. This is not going to slow down the council's sort of drive to get some of these things done.
Nope.
There's a lot of change. What's the process? You talked about this. We talked about this last time. What's the process if people want to be running for council? What do they need to?
Well, we actually have four. Are you interested in council meetings running or not? Open townhouses. I forget the exact dates, but I believe it's mid-March. Late March, there's 2 in 2 separate weeks. I think they're 2 weeks apart, and it's in Martintown, Williamstown, Lancaster, and Glenwalter, I believe.
Okay.
So that's a nice chance to go out and see our clerk staff, which runs the election, have those questions answered.
Okay.
There will eventually be a big one for across SDG. There will be a shared one with the clerks where they bring in a speaker, like what to expect, and educate yourself if you wish to take that tact. For process, I forget exactly when, but there is a nomination date when you can put your name in first. So look for that. Process would get 25 names on a to endorse you.
Okay.
Just can be any residence. So like if you play sports, just have your sports team sign up for you.
Okay.
But that's the process, and then sometime mid-late August is the last date for that, and then kind of the election begins shortly thereafter.
So all of this documentation is on the township website.
Yes, and call our clerk. She has been through 3-4 elections now. She knows her stuff, and always glad to help. And if I can, I'll look into the camera. I've always had this thought that our councils locally, as we have 5, there should be either 2 or 3 women, and we've had 1 since amalgamation. So I would really encourage those of you who can to run. And if you have any hesitance, again, I offer my phone number 613-551 0091. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I have all my stuff documented. I'm glad to go over the responsibilities and the time that it would take, because I know that sometimes people worry about that. I'd say it is a job. It's not a full-time job, so I think people can balance it well.
Yeah.
And especially, and even if you have young kids at home, I think I would hope that you could do it too. I really like the idea of having a balanced council, because if our population is 50-50, you should have 3 and 2 or 2 or 3. It doesn't really matter which way. I think that doesn't care to me, but I like the idea of equal representation
of perspective.
Exactly.
Perspective is important. Coming from whether it's men, women, or representation on culturally wise or whatnot. Depending on where you are in the world, it's important to be representative of who is actually sort of benefiting from whatever you're doing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, very well said. Yeah, but that's my hope would be to have like a wide range of and no acclamations. Like I like the idea of an election. Like even if somebody's likely to win, let people have a choice. And I like that idea.
Yeah. Well, then we are known for at least being able to go to the polls and make our choices.
Yes.
And that's something that that comes back every X amount of years, and it's important to exercise that, say that right. And I always say, for lack of a better term, if you don't vote, you don't have a right to bitch. So so back off.
Only 41% of people in South Glengarry can have
the effort, go out, and participate. It's only a short time, and then after that you can sort of follow, and then you have a right to engage with the politicians. And I always say that.
Yeah, and it can be on by phone and by internet, so it's very, very simple. Like, and if you don't know how to use the internet, we'll have open sessions, and the clerk can help you go through it. She won't look at your vote, but she can help guide you through the process.
Yeah, good. All right. Anything else you want to talk about? As we're sort of we're getting almost knee deep into 2026. It's starting.
Nothing too heavy. I'm just as I'm nearing the end, and I know you asked off camera, but still no decision. Nothing's left off the table. But as you kind of see the end of your term, that's at the very least what I have. Yeah. I'd like to say 1, thank you, and 2, I'm glad to have served South Glengarry. And again, I'll pop back to what we just talked about. If anybody's interested in the thought, reach out. I'm glad. We need our democracies to be strong, and that is we have to have choices. So I'm glad. Even if you think we're running things perfectly, run against us.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. So here you have it now. You may see him run again, depending, or may not. But then again, he does enjoy what he does.
Oh yeah, it's been a joy.
So good. Well, thank you very much for coming on. We really appreciate you coming in and discussing these things with us. We want to remind folks that putting this together is always a job. This is my standard script. I always say that. So, and we need your help in contributing to, segments like these, like Southern Perspective and even Northern Perspective, and then any other segments. So if you are a volunteer, you want to help run some of the cameras or do some editing or whatnot, reach out. We really appreciate if you're a business and you want to help support us by buying some ads or whatnot to put on here to say that you support a certain segment. Reach out as well. It's always good, because this is I call it grassroots news.
Oh, very much
right?
so.
That's what it is grassroots news, and which basically say it's people folks talking to folks and saying, asking, hey, what's going on, what happened? So, in all of our segments. So that's why we encourage folks to come out and help us in any way they can. One of the other things you can do is that you can basically watch us on social media. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. I always say smash the subscribe button, and then help us get to 1,000 subscribers. That's our goal for now. Okay, and then watch as much as you can. Tell your friends and tell them that this is actually going on. And, as watch for posts on social media for what's actually coming up. We have a lot of interesting things. We're going to have some musicians coming in and doing some from both North and South Glengarry. So we're sort of reaching out to a whole bunch of musicians, and we have a lot of things going on here on Glengarry TV. So again, Lachlan, thank you very much for coming in. Always a pleasure having you on. Always a pleasure discussing these things with you. So thanks for watching. Spread the word, and we'll see you soon. Oh, and we're out.